Yeah, I mean, when you first brought up this topic and talked about how we view sleep, I just had to reflect and think about how I maybe used to think about it and how I think about it now. And yeah, I would say it used to be something that I overlooked, but is something that is more of a staple now. I feel like I put sleep with the movement, nutrition, faith, and social connection. I feel like those are like the five pillars of who I am and what I want to prioritize. Over the years, I've realized that like improvements in performance aren't necessarily like part of the workout. Like you don't see it intra workout, but it's like the adaptation from recovery and seeing that to the stresses we apply to our body, whether that's physically or mentally. I've placed more priority on that adaptation instead of just the stimulus. And it changed the way I train and recover. And that's why I prioritize it, not just to feel rested, but to see the full potential of body and mind. Because like future on, I'm thinking futuristic. I want to be the best, not just physically, but mentally that I can be as a future physical therapist and someone who can think clearly and problem solve and treat my patients in a way that reflects the way I'm performing and just checking all those boxes. And it's kind of like progressive overload, right? Like we do this in strength training, we apply a stimulus progressively over time and we expect the performance to increase, but I view mental the same way. Like I'm trying to increase the load of knowledge and of studying over time to see what my limit is and continue to break those glass ceilings. And sleep is a big way that I adapt through those stimuli. And just over the years, I've done a lot of research in the space, not just like school. Like I've had a neuroscience class where we've dove into sleep and sleep stages, but also listening to podcasts, reading books from Matthew Walker, Andrew Huberman, stuff like that to optimize sleep in my own life. And I feel like we're our own case study, right? We get to experiment with, I used to have a Whoop, now I have a Garmin, just see what works for us and how this impacts training or energy levels or mental performance. And yeah, I just feel like over time I've prioritized that adaptation and seen a lot of benefit in prioritizing sleep. So that's how I view it. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah, pretty similar, especially in the sense that it's changed over the years. I'd say like high school didn't really think about it like a sleep schedule or whatever, especially with different wake up times. We'd train 4 or 5 days a week, and a lot of that was early morning. So wake up super early. We probably, what time did we train? Like 5:15 or 5:30?
Yeah, waking up before 5 most nights.
Yeah. And it's not like that was the schedule every day. So it would be like that, and then for a regular school day, 7:15 or whatever. Didn't really think about how that affected me. Just so like, sure, if I knew I had to get up earlier, would try to go to bed earlier, but didn't fully realize the effect that has on how you recover both physically and mentally. Still realized its importance, but wasn't a huge priority. And yeah, didn't have a routine, didn't have a schedule. It was just dictated by sports and school, and wasn't ever really consistent. And I think you can get away with that in high school when you have a lot of energy and stuff going on. You just deal with it. And then through college, obviously, with the exercise science background and having more like strength and performance coaches involved, learning more about how crucial it is just from a recovery and performance perspective. So then it became a tool for improving that. So just making sure getting sufficient sleep between strength training sessions and between practices, just to allow the body to recover, because there is a lot of demand. So that kind of came with improving nutrition and the science of training and sleep, getting down that rabbit hole just because I enjoyed learning about it and just what you said, applying it in my own life, that science, and seeing how that affected me. So became a tool at that stage of life, and obviously still early mornings, but getting more into a routine, figuring out a routine that works for me so that I could, on those mornings that I'm getting up early, how I could go to bed earlier and fall asleep more quickly. So saw it as a tool those years as an athlete. And since then, like you said, it's one of those main pillars of health that we put with nutrition, faith, exercise, one of those big rocks for overall health, and not just seeing how it affects my physical health, my recovery, but also preventing sickness, mental health, energy, just all these all-encompassing things that affects my day-to-day. And I really like the quote. I think I saw it on Twitter. I don't know who it's from, but basically how I view sleep now, it's not the end of the day, but it is the setup for a better tomorrow. So I think I view it that way. How can I use it to optimize tomorrow from a physical, mental, spiritual standpoint? Because it is vitally important for all those areas. And that's not to say that one night of sleep is going to wreck you. I've had that too, where because I view it as so important that it gets to me when I don't get a good night's sleep. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. The whole day's ruined. But it's that middle ground of you can bounce back from a bad night's sleep with a little caffeine, but if it's habitually poor sleep, poor quality of sleep, or not getting enough hours, how that can catch up to you in all facets of life, especially as you age and as you have more stuff going on. So yeah, just view it as one of those pillars, one of those tools to make overall quality of life better. And I know that when I'm prioritizing it and getting quality sleep, it just makes me a better overall person. So definitely something I value and is very important for me. Any other thoughts with that?
I like
How
what
you
you
do it?
said about it's not the end of the day. Like a lot of the things that make you more alert and more awake today can take away from how you feel tomorrow. If we pound ourselves with caffeine to try and wake us up today, and we're probably going to feel more tired tomorrow. So it's doing the things right today to set you up for a better, more consistent tomorrow. Yeah, I like that. And just prioritizing your schedule around that sleep routine and not letting that budge as much as you can. But yeah, I like that. And I also remember going back to the days 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine and pounding some weights will wake you up. I'm sure that's why we didn't feel the massive effects. We probably felt it at 2 or 3 in the afternoon or eighth hour. But yeah, I remember those days of early mornings and some crashes. But no, that was all good. I feel like we agree on a lot and have learned over time.